We often talk about improving our numbers, improving our squat, bench, deadlift, whatever other lift we care about. We spend a lot of time thinking about improvement. But in a situation like this, where you're picking up a vital sign, about your body that is basically a warning shot, it's like a warning signal, a red flag about a certain body part. It's kind of like a car racing around a track, and one of the sensors tells you something's going on. Something is happening within the engine. We need to, basically have a pit stop and have a look at it. You can choose to ignore that and continue redlining the hell out of that car, race it another few laps, but don't be surprised when something blows up. And once you're stranded in the middle of the racetrack on the side of the road, your race is over. This is kind of the feeling that I have with these hip flexors. I never saw this coming, but now that it's here, I have to address it. If I don't, then I might end up stranded on the side of the race course. These hip flexors are concerning me because it's not just about I'm not going to get stronger, or I'm going to plateau, or I'm not going to improve, or things of that nature. This might actually hurt my health. And if you guys have listened to me for a decent amount of time, you will know that nothing comes in between me and my health in terms of training, this stuff that I'm doing. The number one motivation after I quit basketball was to get in the gym and train and keep healthy. Stay healthy. I always wanted to be fit, regardless if I was going to be a professional basketball player or just a dad. I always wanted to stay healthy. That's how I grew up around my dad. He finished the army. He wasn't really playing volleyball at the time, but he was always doing push-ups, chin-ups, always going for runs all throughout my developmental years. It's kind of the norm. That's what a man does. You got to stay fit. So this is a concern for me. I don't want to get a hernia, right? Because if I get a hernia, I have not strengthened my body. I've made my body extremely weak to a point where I've blown a certain body part, and now I'm screwed. So when I'm doing a squatting motion, when I'm moving around and I feel what I'm feeling, that's my project immediately. Everything else needs to kind of get put to the side. I have to address this. And in a way, this is a good thing because, I have had anterior pelvic tilt for quite some time, and I really do feel that this is a manifestation of this. It's anterior pelvic tilt on steroids. Basically, you are so unbalanced in your pelvis that you are spilling your guts forward so much that when you load that spine of yours, when you axial load your spine in terms of a barbell squat or a deadlift or whatever have you, that instability within that structure is going to break on the side of that stretching, which is the abdominal wall. The abdominal wall is not just a six-pack. It's a whole bunch of stuff going on, man. There's fascia, there's the transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis, internal, external obliques, all sorts of stuff going on. So when that as a unit fails to keep your basically guts in check, and you can't develop that, that bracing that you need for heavy weight, then all of a sudden, man, you got a problem within the base. Don't worry about what the quads are doing, what the bits and pieces are doing. You've got a structural problem. And a lot of strength is about, limiting the amount of forces leaked through the system. It's kind of like having a race car with basically really crappy tires that are slipping all over the place and you have no traction. What use is that? What use is that big-ass engine, the big-ass turbo, and all this wonderful, drivetrain stuff if you can't put that thing to the ground, right? So it's kind of like that. So today, I'm driving to the gym, and as I was filling my water bottles at home, I thought to myself, man, I don't even really know what I'm going to do today. The whole hip flexor thing, the whole anterior pelvic tilt was on my mind, but as I was driving in the car, I'm like, man, I don't really know what I'm going to do. Like, do I start with bench squats and just really focus on those contractions, or what am I going to do? And then as I was driving to the gym, it kind of occurred to me. Once again, this man always pops out in my mind, but I remember once upon a time listening to a lot of Louis Simmons and getting inspired to try box squats. I tried box squats. I tried them really wide, how he kind of preaches, although I'm not very strong in the wide stance squatting at all. I remember feeling at that point, my Lord, my hip flexors are getting smashed. It was tiny load compared to what I can back squat, but my hip flexors of all things were getting absolutely killed. That popped into my mind. And then I thought, well, there you go. I can do leg raises, sit-ups, marching. I can do all of that. But all of that is not loadable. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really load it in a movement pattern that is similar to what we're trying to do. So I thought, okay, today I'm going to go in, I'm going to do wide stance pin squats. Last few days I've done pin squats, but now I'm going to do wide stance. So what is the difference between a narrow and a wide stance? Well, I'll tell you straight off the top, and I've mentioned this many times before, and I've quoted this man many, many times before. Louis Simmons used to say, if you are really good at wide stance squatting, this will translate to narrow stance squatting as well. You are now doing both things really well, purely through the function of you just training for the wide stance. But the opposite is not the case. The opposite doesn't go that way as well. So if you are a narrow stance squatter and you just train that, predominantly that's your thing, when you go wide, you're going to be very, very weak, which is exactly what my experience is. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you that I think wide stance squatting is filth. That is just me honestly thinking about it. I can't even look at the damn video right now because it's so ugly to me, right? I want to squat like Lou, like Clocko, like Clarence Kennedy. Wide stance squatting is horrific. But there is a purpose for this. I need my hip flexors to get stronger. If I could get it stronger in some sort of squatting motion, I'm much more happier doing that than freaking sit-ups, leg raises, all that stuff. Makes more sense to my mind to do something that is specific to squatting. This is a squat, is just very, very, different stance. As I was going through this, I worked up to 190. I did 5 sets of 10. My hip flexors were being lit up. Absolutely lit up. Little bit of quads, mostly hip flexors. So much so that at the top of the range of motion, like at the top of each rep, I was afraid to squeeze my glutes because I thought, man, my hip flexors might actually come off the bone. That's what I was feeling. Now, that is probably abnormal, but for somebody that has spent so much time squatting and deadlifting in a very, very narrow position, when I put my legs out that wide, I feel so freaking insecure. I literally feel like I will snap in half. I will just unzip from the pubic bone all the way up to my neck, and I'll just flop down and die. That's how I feel. So much insecurity, and lots of things are happening there. Abductors, external rotators of the hip, but most of all, my hip flexors were getting lit up. And so then I thought to myself, wow, could I actually address anterior pelvic tilt simply by wide stance squatting? Opening the hell, my hips open. Because I squat every single day narrow, whether it's front or back squat, it's always narrow, 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 narrow. And over this time, my anterior pelvic tilt seems to be creeping up and getting worse and worse and worse. Then I get into a wide stance position. I'm like, this is a freaking stretch and a strengthening exercise rolled into one. It was incredible. So that's what I did today. And I don't know if I can describe enough how wasted I am right now. I am so tired, man, from doing these. It's incredible. Like systemic, flush out. That sensation where you struggle to clench your fists, together? You can't, I don't know if you guys know, one way to test your central nervous system fatigue is to literally pick up a weight scale, and just grip it or pinch it and see what number you get on the scale. You can actually track your central nervous system because there's a lot of nerves in our hands. So if you can't really clench your fist, then you won't be able to do much else, because the nerve innervation to our hands is unlike any other body part. We're very, very tactile in our hands, obviously. That's how we evolved. So that's a really good kind of indicator of how tired you are central nervously, how tired your nervous system is. Purely just, can you really grip your hand real hard? If you're going to punch somebody, would you feel secure with that grip? And right now, no way, man. I feel that tired. I finished off with some sit-ups purely just for volume, purely for blood. That's all I was thinking. And I went the hell out of there, went home. So no push-ups, no bench, nothing else, no deadlifting, nothing else. That's basically the session today. But my hip flexors feel long, they feel strong, and my core feels better already. So that's something I'm going to explore. Not sure if I'll do it every day. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'll just basically wake up tomorrow and see how I feel, assess the body, see what I need to do, see the vital signs that I'm picking up from the body, and then go from there. Cater to the body, what the body needs, essentially. That's kind of what I'm thinking about now. I've got a name to mention. A special thanks to Abu Zakaria. This fella popped up yesterday morning. Abu, man, I just really want to thank you for doing this, man. I am stumped at how much support I'm getting. I never thought this was ever going to be the case. When I started the channel, I thought this was going to be just a library for me to put my stuff up so I don't have to overload my hard drive on the computer, which was getting basically filled up after a month. And here we are. There's so many names, so many people reaching out and supporting me. It's a freaking blessing, man. And you are a blessing, Abu, man. Thank you so much for doing this. Like everyone else on the list, on the screen, and also in the description box, all the guys on Patreon, Discord, Instagram, the comments on YouTube, you guys are making me freaking feel special, man. So I appreciate all of that, all of the support, all of the comments, all of the ideas. It's just bloody amazing. All right, guys, let me get out of here. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.